All right, guys, welcome. Just before we get started, I wanted to show you guys this diagram I was working on for today's episode. I talked to Jeff. He's gonna allow me to lead this episode. So we're gonna talk about structure. And right here, I'm drawing a diagram in how structure relates to the mind, right, and how it relates to the body, and then how it also relates to the soul. So it's very important, guys, that you guys focus and understand that when we talk about structure, how it relates to us, and how it affects our mind, our body, and most importantly our soul, and you know and the third eye. We also wanna you know make a point to how it can affect your pineal gland. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? This is Jeff with Thought Academy.
It's Carlos. It's good to be back. It's good to have you guys. Today's topic of discussion, right? Is that how you say it? All right. Today's episode, I'm gonna copy Jeff. He's really good at this, so I'm gonna try to do my best Jeff impression. Today's topic of discussion, bear with me, guys, is structure. What is structure? All right. So let's just start off by what is structure to you?
I'd say it's the foundation of organization.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like that.
How about you?
It sounds cool. Um. Uh. So guys, I wrote a bunch of stuff down. I'm not gonna look at it. I'm gonna try my best. Um, for me, it would be, I imagine it'd be just the alignment of the internal and external. But the choice of how you align the internal and external, so that you can get the most suitable outcome to what it is you desire in experiencing. It sounds like a lot, but yeah.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. I think it's beautiful, at least. All right. What's the Merriam-Webster's definition of structure?
So okay, boom. We have what I found on the internet, guys, is the organization of parts as dominated by the general character of the whole. I'm gonna repeat that because at least for me, it sounds, kind of complex. The organization of parts as dominated by the general character of the whole. It makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
It definitely sounds more physical, but I think that's because of how I'm looking at it. Visually in my
Mm-hmm.
head. I look at that, all of the words, it just sounds more physical, like it's a business, like it's a football team, it's an organization. It's not um, something that could be necessarily intangible. I'm thinking of it along the lines of physical traits and characteristics,
Got you. Okay.
which is cool, you know.
I can see that. Yeah. Um, Parts dominated by the general character of whole. Yeah, it does sound a bit physical. So what do you think? What are some dynamics you have in place in your life? Uh, what are some of your structure dynamics? If you had to give a
The most
list or an
notable
example.
structure dynamics I have right now,
Yeah.
just off the top of my head, financial, mental, family, and social. That's about it.
Mhm.
Just off the top of my head, those are the top four structures I have right now. What about you?
I agree, man. I think family. That's my biggest, man. Family. I try and like that's. I think that's the biggest structure dynamic I have in my life that really keeps me afloat. Um. So yeah, family, job. Um. I would like to switch that with like passions, hobbies. Um. Fitness. Meditation. Um. Any type of educational peak of interest. Uh, and yeah, That's what kind of keeps me feeling like I'm existing properly.
Could you say that all of those are subcategories of a mental, spiritual, emotional form of structure? Like you have to do these things; they are a part of that structure. They hold the health of the physical, the mental, the physical, the mental, the physical, the mental, and the emotional. They are the pillars of said structure.
For me, I would say, yeah. At least for me, like I have to kind of like see or feel like I'm touching each pillar of existence in order to feel like I'm I'm happy, or I'm at least going in the right direction. So maybe some form of meditating, some form of just educating myself, some form of physical exercising, dieting, just know that I'm treating my body well, my mind well, my soul well. um that helps me. That's the kind of structure I like to keep in play. um yeah, I would say that those definitely align with our existence as humans. Yeah, man. What do you think some of the benefits of having structure are, of having those things in your life?
I would say the biggest benefit of having structure is having confidence, right? It's knowing, because we live in a world full of constructs, concepts, and structures, and substructures, and systems where we
Yeah.
don't know. We face uncertainty, we face uh, discomfort. So I would say the biggest benefit structure offers somebody is confidence. What about you?
That's interesting because I know when we're gonna segue this into self-awareness. I know that's the plan that we had, guys. Um, but it's interesting how it's kind of doing that right now, because I know that was one of the benefits that self-awareness also brought was confidence. Um, for me, uh, some of the benefits of structure would be just allowing that, I guess I want to say comfortability, but what it's just making it a path for you, a path that's easier and more manageable for the existence that you want to live, the experiences you want to experience, whatever it is you desire. It Structure will allow you to you know uh pave that road and go through it, in an easier, more manageable way. And I think that's one of the benefits. It's just having you know a route with less resistance. Yeah. What do you think some of the pitfalls? I know that's a word you like to use. Guys, remember I'm doing my best Jeff impression right now. What are some of the pitfalls of not having structure?
I think it.
I think it's a carrot.
I think it's about 6 feet. Nah, man. I honestly think it affects your confidence, man. And then for me personally, it's like, all right, I'm gonna add a little bit more energy here.
Yeah, come on, let's do it.
If I know, if I come across a person who doesn't have a lot of confidence, or who doesn't have a lot of structure, for example, not confidence, but
Hmm.
structure,
Hmm.
I'm probably not going to believe that they are competent in certain areas of life. I'm probably going to believe that they're not consistent in other areas.
Hmm.
And you know, and that's me prejudging, of course, but I've been conditioned. Not saying that judging is a good thing or the right thing to do, but I've been conditioned. You know, coming from where I've come from, and you know, existing in the environments that I've existed. That's my current programming and conditioning to be under the, I guess, the spell of prejudgment. And I would, of course, I would put it past that person, right? Because I'm an adult. But it, it vibrates, man. It vibrates, and I think a lot of the time people can see it, people can feel it when someone doesn't have a certain structure in their life. It's it can be unhealthy for individuals. Me
Yeah.
specifically, people who have a lack of structure in what they do in the day. Uh, they're for their time. They just sit down and they do drugs all day, no job or anything like that. And I love them for who they are. But if I'm around that, 24/7, I might I might feel like I'm not benefiting this person by being in their presence, and that might hurt our relationship. So yeah, I would say that that's a pitfall as well, because then that starts hurting the way you perceive other people and the way you perceive yourself as well, which in turn can hurt confidence.
You see, it's so interesting when we touch on these topics and we see how they can bleed out into other areas of our life, into other things that we might not, have tuned up properly. So, um, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Um,
What about you, man? Would you have anything to add?
in regards to pitfalls of not having structure, I I agree. I think um different levels of resistance, whether that be in a relationship, whether that be at work, or friendships, social settings. um I've seen it a lot personally, where either I didn't have a proper structure, that I had desires. I wanted to be a part of this, or I wanted to do this, or but my structure wasn't correct. I didn't have, I didn't come correct, as the kids say. Um, and that caused me to that caused me to just not be with the cool kids, not be in the in crowd, if we're talking social settings. And but like you said, man, it can affect relationships. If my for an example, if my if I don't like taking out the trash or doing the dishes, and my significant other, is used to that structure, and she finds that I'm not, and now we're getting into an argument, and let me be quiet because she might hear me. No, we're we're getting into an argument,
Just comes in
and
and starts beating you
yeah, it's not the case, guys. I promise. But yeah.
three times if you
Just
need help.
yeah, just resistance, man. Levels of resistance. It's definitely a pitfall in areas that you may not want to experience resistance. So that's why it's good to not only be self-aware, which I'm getting ahead of myself, but just also have a structure down so that you can just live a more enjoyable life, for you and the people you hope to be involved with. What is it important um to avoid when building structure, or to avoid when being conscious of not affecting your structure, or what affects structure? Let me make it simpler. What affects structure? Everything.
Everything. Yeah. Simply put, everything. Time. Because not all structure is going to be strong with the duration of time. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? The way you think about it, the way you look at it, the way you talk about it, everything affects structure.
That's a reality, man.
Even in not having structure, you still have structure
Break that
of
down.
not having it.
So
You know?
oh, I see, you still have a setup as to why it is you don't have structure. You still have something
Exactly.
set up. Yeah.
And if we're talking about the concept of structure itself, that's still a structure. There are
Hmm.
still, subsystems with structure that you still have to abide by. The body has its own structure that it needs its own. It's a system.
Yeah.
It needs water. It needs nourishment. But it depends on how you're looking at the concept of structure itself. if I was to look at, all of the things that can affect structure, I would say it's everything. Now, if it's a particular set of structures, like the family dynamic, for example, a death in a family can affect that structure. Because then, like in my family, there's only a couple of people who hold the family up together. Those people are to pass away, God forbid, family just kind of disperse.
Yeah.
So in that structure, that's one thing that. Yeah, but what about you? How do you look at that question?
We do these things, right? We whether it's whether I'm in the gym or I'm working out or I'm meditating or I'm reading books or some of these things might be difficult for me, but I know that the end result is I'm gonna be stronger. I'm gonna maybe have a, you know, I'm gonna be more confident. I'm gonna be, just a better version of myself, right? Um, but in life, there's also these forms of resistance that don't promote growth, that don't offer any reward, and I think, and so what we call that is empty calories. And if we're capable enough to have that self-awareness that we discussed in the last episode, we can avoid those forms of resistance. And that'll segue us into talking about what we talked about last episode, talking about self-awareness, and how structure relates to self-awareness. But I wanted to see if you had anything to input on that.
No, man, I actually love the ideas of empty calories.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. So how do you think, what are your thoughts on how self-awareness and structure relate?
I think when you are self-aware of something, you s- you can kind of decide for yourself what it is you want to do or what it is you want to stop doing or not do. From there, you can create a thought, a plan for yourself to have some type of structure set up in your life for you to do something or not do something.
Mhm. I agree. Yeah.
I'd say I was related. It creates action or the lack of action.
Well put. And what would be your advice for the audience on how to fortify your structure?
Don't just talk about it, be about it, and become aware.
You heard it from the man himself.
I know you had something for fortify. Fortify.
Fortify.
Structure, though.
Well, fortify was I just wrote a couple things down. Just practice the benefits that we spoke of, the list of benefits that we spoke of. Practice those, meditate, read books, get some physical exercise in, spend time with family, spend time with friends, but also be self-aware of, the intentions of everything, your intentions, the intentions that people have for you. Be aware of that. But practice all of it. Practice engaging in healthy resistance. Practice evaluating healthy examples, whether that be family or friends. Yeah, I believe that's how you can fortify your structure in a positive way.